What if I told you that everything you think you've chosen in life was never really your choice? That your dreams, your beliefs, even the people you've loved, were all the result of invisible forces pulling the strings behind the scenes. You might laugh it off. Of course I have free will, right? I decide what to eat, who to love, what to believe. I'm in control. Or are you? What if free will is the most seductive illusion ever sold to the human mind? A comforting lie that makes you feel powerful, while keeping you blind. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most dangerous myths in modern life. You're about to see why everything you've been taught about free will is wrong, where your decisions really come from, and what happens when you finally break free from the illusion. This isn't philosophy class. This is the truth no one wants to admit. Let's go deeper. From the moment you were born, you were surrounded by invisible scripts. Scripts written by your culture, by your parents, by religion, media, and school systems. They told you what to value, what to fear, what success looks like, what failure means, and most of all, what kind of person you're supposed to be. And you followed, not because you're weak, but because that's how the system was designed. You were trained to believe your choices are yours, but if you look closer, you'll see most of them were made for you, long before you even knew what choosing meant. Think about it. Did you choose the language you speak, the beliefs you were raised in, the school you went to, the environment that shaped your personality? No, you inherited them. And they shaped your brain before you had the chance to resist. But it goes deeper. Modern neuroscience has shown something unsettling. Your brain makes decisions before you're even aware of them. In study after study, scientists found signals in the brain that predicted a person's choice seconds before they made it consciously. Let that sink in. Your brain decides, then tells you a story about why you decided. Free will, or just post-rationalized storytelling? The truth is, most of what you call you is just automatic reaction, wired by evolution, shaped by culture, reinforced by repetition. And the more you believe you're in control, the less likely you are to notice the strings. But that's not the end of the story, because there is a way to break the illusion, and it starts with one thing: awareness. Here's the part no one talks about. The belief in free will isn't just a philosophical debate. It's a tool used to control you. Because if you believe you're free, then every failure is your fault. Every mistake is a personal flaw. Every struggle just a result of your own bad choices. You internalize guilt. You swallow shame. You blame yourself instead of questioning the system. But what if you were programmed? What if your environment shaped your choices before you ever had a chance? Then, who's really responsible? Governments love the myth of free will, so do corporations. Because it keeps you obedient, always striving, always blaming yourself, never questioning the architecture you're trapped inside. It makes you easier to sell to, easier to punish, easier to control. And here's the kicker. The people in power, they know this. They've studied behavior, psychology, propaganda. They've mastered the art of shaping decisions before you even know you're making one. They don't need to control your actions. They just control the context and let your free will do the rest. You weren't taught to think freely. You were taught to think predictably, in patterns that serve the machine. So, when you feel stuck, lost, anxious, maybe it's not because you failed. Maybe it's because you were set up. But once you see the trap, you can start looking for the way out. So if free will is a myth, does that mean you're just a puppet? Not exactly. Because while you may not control the first thought, you can control the second. You may not choose your impulses, but you can choose your response. That's where the crack appears. That's where something new begins. True freedom doesn't mean absolute control. It means conscious awareness. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to old scripts, to childhood wounds, to cultural conditioning. But when you see the pattern, when you recognize the programming, you create space. And in that space, something powerful happens. Choice. Not the fake kind between brands and algorithms, but real inner choice. The choice to pause, to question, to break the loop. That's the beginning of agency. You're not free because you can pick A or B. You're free when you understand why you were drawn to either one. Because then, you're no longer reacting, you're creating. And that's a freedom no system can manufacture. So no, you weren't born free. You were born programmable. But you can awaken, and that changes everything. So, how do you reclaim your mind in a world built to hijack it? You start by watching, not reacting, just observing. When anger rises, notice it. When you reach for distraction, pause. When you feel the urge to scroll, to escape, don't judge it, just watch. Because awareness is the first crack in the matrix. Every time you notice a pattern, you weaken it. Every time you resist the pull, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Meditation isn't just a wellness trend, it's rebellion. Silence is power, attention is currency, and you've been spending yours on illusions for far too long. The more you observe, the more you begin to see, most of your thoughts aren't even yours. They're echoes from media, from childhood, from fear, from algorithms. But once you recognize the noise, you can choose what to amplify. That's real freedom, not escaping the system, but waking up within it. Because when you're aware, you start to bend the pattern, and when you bend the pattern, you change the path. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. And in presence, the illusion of free will fades, but something greater takes its place. Clarity, courage, intention. That's where your power lives, not in being in control of everything, but in no longer being controlled by anything. Now you know that free will, as you've been taught, was never real. You know that most of your choices were reactions to conditioning, that the game was rigged before you even took your first breath. But here's the real question. Now that you see it, what will you do? Most people, they'll hear this and move on. They'll scroll, swipe, forget. Go right back to playing a role in a script they didn't write. Because truth without action is just another kind of sedation. But a few of you, you'll feel it. You'll remember, you'll pause the next time you react. And that pause is everything. That's where the illusion breaks. That's where real choice begins. Not in what you choose, but in why you choose it. So don't chase control, chase clarity. Don't fight to win the game, wake up and see the board. Because once you do, you'll realize freedom was never about options. It was about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And that is the most radical thing you can do. If this resonated with you, leave a comment with just 3 words. I see it. That's how we'll know you're not just watching, you're waking up.